Hi everybody, welcome back to Susan Lynn and Psychic Medium. This is my channel and it's good to be with you today. Thanks for spending some time with me. I appreciate it. So today we're going to be talking about President Biden's new world order. This came to me while I was in the shower this morning, so here we are talking about this and what they want to say. And also, if you're new, welcome aboard. And I'm a psychic and a medium, and I get my information from my spirit guides as I'm talking to you. So this is just something that I've always done on YouTube. I just not that good at tarot cards, and frankly, my spirit guides tend to argue with the tarot cards. So it's very confusing. So I just go straight to them for the information and I pass it along to you as I get it. So here's the deal. Biden's new world order. I mean, what does that even mean? What are we talking about, right? What it means is that Biden, and let me also say, I don't watch a lot of news, and I'm not a great big history buff, so I'm going to be telling you what I understand as I understand it, as they're telling me, okay? So just know that, this is their understanding of what's going on, I guess. They want to talk about Brexit a little bit. So according to what I'm understanding is Brexit, when Britain decided to Brexit, they decided to do that because of a couple of things. One, immigration. They wanted to be able to control immigration better. They wanted less immigration. Number two, they didn't want other countries telling them what to do. We can all understand that to a degree, right? Because they were signing on to the EU, they had to pretty much go along with whatever the EU voted. And so they were one part of a bigger group of countries, and that didn't really suit them. They're the colonialist, right? I mean, they're the ones usually telling other people what they're going to do. So it just didn't suit the citizens. Now, the real fallout is that the EU have made trade deals. They've made trade pacts. They've made trade treaties. They've done things like, okay, you produce that, we won't compete with you because we're going to produce this, and therefore you get some money, I get some money, we all get some money, okay? And we're going to band together to try to give us smaller countries a little bit better economy of scale compared to, say, China, right? Or compared to, say, some of the bigger countries that mass produce things, right? So they're trying to keep some of those jobs and some of that money in their own countries. Okay, so but Britain is really suffering now because they're not in that economy of scale anymore. They don't have the benefits of all the trade deals. And Britain imports a lot of what they need. They don't really make a lot, okay? They import everything from food to, clothing to everything. And so they're kind of locked out of the Costco. They are not allowed to go into the Costco and get the better deals. So, and that's coming to fore. It's not quite, I don't think, showing full force in their economy just yet, but it's coming, and many people are worried about it. But you know what? The will of the people, that's what they voted, and that's what's going to happen. So here comes Biden. Biden is, he's fresh in office, and he's God knows he's seen some ugly things that we're not privy to, right? And he also understands that China is becoming the world power, the world superpower at that. And right now they're even ramping up their nuclear arsenal and some of their wartime things. Of course, China doesn't typically invade people, but they do want to protect themselves. And so really what they want to do is they want to be the world monetary superpower. They want to be the one who produces the products, makes the money. That's what they really want. They want to be like Saudi Arabia is with oil, but they want to be it with everything else. So we have some, and I just keep hearing protectionist as well. So we have some issues. So Biden has some issues. We have some issues, okay? So I believe what they're telling me is that Biden went, there's two forks at least that I can see right now to this strategy, okay? I'm going to back up and say Janet Yellen, the head of our Fed right now, she went to the G7 and implored them to create a baseline taxation for anybody investing in their country. In other words, storing money there, offloading money there. It turns out that even Ireland is one of these countries that you can go and park your money and pay very little in taxes. Okay, and we know that also because remember that Trump did the golf course and he wasn't even paying what little taxes he owed them, and that they went after him. But some of these countries have taxation rates lower than 10%. Lower than 5%, very, very low. And it's honestly a race to the bottom, right? So as one country lowers their taxes to 8%, another country lowers it to 6%. So basically it's a race to just be able to put your money there for a pittance, right? So two forks of Biden's strategy. First of all, to get a baseline taxation commitment from as many countries as he can. He did get a commitment from the G7. Now Janet goes to the G20, and they try to get the same commitment from the G20. 15% is not a lot, but it's much better than where we are, and it at least will level the playing field and get a commitment. So countries will stop sabotaging each other, right? That's what this is all about. This is Biden's new world order. We have to stand strong because there's countries like China and Russia and even the United Arab Emirates that are trying to control us, trying to take advantage of us through producing products that we need. We all learned this during the pandemic. There was one time in the very beginning of the pandemic that there was some item, and I don't remember what it was. It was something integral to what we needed to take care of people. And this one little item, tiny little item, was only produced in Italy. For real, only produced in Italy. And Italy was one of the countries that was hit hardest in the beginning. So they weren't producing it. So no one was producing it. So again, that informs Biden that, you know what? We need to have a safety net, right? We don't want to have to always go to China to get surgical masks. We don't always want to go to China to get things. We need to be able to have a network of friendly countries that we know we can go to and get certain products. Maybe it's rubber for tires, right? Things that we might need during a war. Think about if you go back in history, and again, I'm not a history buff, but during the World War II, when you couldn't get a lot of basic things like rubber for your tires or things that were needed in the wartime effort. I feel like what they're telling me is Biden is going to these countries, and I mean the whole EU plus Britain, and anybody else he can get in there, like Australia, anybody else he can get in there. And he's trying to get a new trade pact going. This is going to make China really upset. What can they do about it? Well, I'll tell you what they could do about it. Sadly, there's not one component of one item probably that's made that doesn't come from China. But I think things could be ramping up in Mexico. They just told me Mexico could take over some of these manufacturing of these components and be happy to do so. Very much would help Mexico. And then those components could be sourced elsewhere than China. This is what Biden is doing. Obviously, this isn't in the news. This is what they told me this morning. Biden's new world order. It's about trade. It's about making sure that all of us can take care of each other if we need to. Obviously, we're never going to be able to produce on the scale and at the cost that China does. But where it comes down to government contracts, and he will have incentives for American companies to buy from these. They're going to be like approved vendors, or there's some kind of thing that they're telling me that these vendors are going to get you something you're going to want. Maybe you're going to get a tax break. I don't know. But if you go to one of these vendors might be Canadian. They might be Australian. They might be Ireland. It might be Mexico. But guess what it's not going to be? China. It's not going to be China. So is this going to... I want to talk about this because they're talking about this right now. So is this going to cause a Cold War with China? I think is a worry. And I got to tell you, Biden doesn't really give a damn. He does not give a damn. He's upset with China anyway, with the whole Hong Kong thing, or the I'm not getting it. I don't think I'm getting it right. I'm connected to them, and that's not available to me that is not available to you at this time. Please try again later. Anyway, he's upset with China. They're being very protectionist. There's always concerns about them manipulating their money. I mean, we do it too. I don't know what the problem is, but anyway, and then also, you know that Biden is having an investigative team research whether COVID-19 came out of the Wuhan lab, whether it was an escaped virus. He's literally investigating that. So look, China is kind of on his shit list right now, and we also know that Russia is too. What they're showing is that Janet Yellen went ahead and started talking to the G7. You know, she's reaching out to all these other countries. She's giving them a heads up about what Biden wants. She's testing the waters. She's getting feedback. She's trying on different, well, if we do this, how would that work? Well, what about this? How would that work? She's gathering information. Went back to Biden. She did this, I think, last month. It was considered a big win. Actually, her talk to the G7 was considered a big win for her right out of the gate. So she goes back to Biden. She says, this is what I think this country will do. This country wants this. So now they can put together the master plan. Now Biden is over there right now talking to those countries, talking to those leaders. Biden is very much the kind of guy who gets a handshake, says, my people are going to talk to your people, and he leaves, right? I mean, that's just how he operates. So that's what he's doing right now, and I'm getting chills about that. He is over there quietly amassing a group of countries, of leaders that will come together, and whereas the EU formed, it's going to be like a bigger version of the EU. It's not going to have the immigration thing. That was a big problem. We're not going, they are talking about visas to me right now. Part of the EU, right, was that they could, you could get a visa, a EU visa. And as an EU citizen, you could travel pretty freely between the countries, which really helped labor shortages, right? So if somebody was having a labor shortage over here, you could be free to work. So, what I thought was that it wasn't going to, this happens sometimes, but I thought it wasn't going to include immigration, but I got to tell you, they corrected me. It's like, so, yeah, I think you will be able to get visas easier if you're a part of this. I want to call it a conglomerate because I don't know what else to call it. It's a pact. It's a group. I don't know what it is, but a treaty. They're calling it a treaty. I don't know. But yes, I do think you will be able to get expedited visas or special visas. It's not going to be quite the same as what happened with the EU. It's not going to be quite that free because our Congress is just not going to allow that. I mean, let's face it. But I do think that they will find a way through the State Department to fast track certain visas more often. Okay, they're telling me right now that is going to open up the intellectual pipeline. You understand that during the former guy, we stopped accepting people from all different kinds of countries, right? Because he's a xenophobe, you know? I mean, he's a misogynist, a xenophobe. Anyway, so many of our best universities started losing a good portion of their students. They're out of the country students, and those students are, the students that come here from other countries are the best of the best of the best, because it is really a competition to get here. It's a competition to even get an education in some of these countries. So if they can come here, they're top notch, really very intellectually sought after. So we now have for 3 years basically cut that supply. So what they're telling me is that this will also allow more intellectual visas, more student visas. Okay, what else do I need to tell you guys about this? Listen, this is the part that maybe is a little bit the downside, right? Whenever you're changing something big, there's always going to be disruption. There's always going to be maybe a lull before things get going. So the downside is that I see China coming after us in a pretty bold way. For instance, really acting before this is even inked, before this is signed. And that's going to probably create a little pinch here and there for us, okay? Prices might get a little bit higher. Selection might get a little bit less. But honestly, that's just going to push companies to go to these other countries. It's going to push companies to come from China back to Mexico, back to some of these other countries where they can still get inexpensive labor and have really good shipping times to the United States. I don't think it's going to work for China, but I do think for a period of time, it's going to be a little bit, dicey in a sense. I think the American people, what they're showing me is the American people are going to be behind this. I know that even the former Geist people do not like China. And I don't think, I think the rest of us feel like it's a necessary evil, that the materials that we get, the products we get, I mean, we've gotten addicted to cheap products, right? We've gotten addicted to that. And honestly, the companies have gotten addicted to insane profits. Insane profits. So there's really, we all know that's where it needs to be fixed, is in the profits, right? But it's not. It's going to be pushed over to the consumer, and the consumer's going to have to fix it, right? But I don't know. I don't think that's I think that's going to happen to a degree. But again, consumers are fighting back. So I think a lot of changes are in store for us. I think you're going to see more manufacturing coming back to the United States. That is Biden's goal, by the way, is to have manufacturing here, is to find a way to, is to find a way to get these companies to come back here and pay a decent wage, some kind of decent wage. Biden is not a Bernie Sanders, right? He's not. He's not going to make them pay $30 an hour and be unionized. He's not going to do that. He's not going to even make them be unionized, but he is going to make them pay, $15 to $25 an hour, right? I mean, it's going to be something. It's just not going to be the union wages, that we would like to see, sadly. But it's a step in the right direction, people. We have to celebrate our wins, in my opinion. We all want to wave a magic wand and get this stuff fixed. It just doesn't happen like that. We have to work with what we have. What we have is a president who's very centrist, who loves America more than anything, and he knows what America needs to do to be fixed. But he is centrist. He is going to drive between those lines. He's not going to go into the shoulder of the road and pass all the slow-moving traffic to make gains. He's not going to do that. He's going to drive the speed limit behind grandma and get it done when he gets it done. So that's what we're dealing with. They were talking about, so when I was talking to you about the businesses coming back to the States and creating manufacturing jobs here, they were talking to me at the same time. What they were saying was, Biden, if we do really well in the midterms, which there's every potential for us to really do well in the midterms, okay? I feel like we're going to do well, but we can't get lax. We have to really fight for everything we have to fight for, okay? We have to really be aware, be astute, be engaged, okay? But if we do well in the midterms and we get a decent, pick up some seats in the Senate and in the House, and we can actually pass something, what Biden will do is raise the taxes on the corporations. I know they're going to raise it to, 28%, which is pathetic. It's lower than it was during GW or GH Bush, any of them. But I think Biden wants it back up to 32 or 35, I'm hearing. Then what happens is that if you bring your manufacturing jobs back to the United States, and again, I'm going to tell you, he's not going to make them unionize. I'm just going to tell you that. It's just bring them back, and we'll start there, and we'll go from there. Maybe if the employees want to unionize, then great. And when I say Biden make them unionize, all I'm saying is that make that part of the carrot. If you have a carrot and a stick, right? You make that part of the tip. They can't think of the word. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Incentive. Thank you. Make that part of the incentive, right? So Biden could make a lot of things as part of the incentive to come back, right? We'll drop your tax rate by 10% from 32 to 22, or maybe we'll drop it 5%. Okay, we're going to give you a big tax break. You have to move back to the United States, but we're not going to make you do a lot of other things to get that tax break. Okay, we're not going to say you have to allow unionization. You have to allow unions to unionize, people to choose. Maybe we're not going to say that. We're just going to say bring it back and hire people in the United States. Okay, so that's how he's going to continue to bring people back. Again, when we get these all these countries on board with charging a flat 15% taxes, then maybe it doesn't make so much sense to have their operation in China. Maybe it makes, well, China's not going to sign on to this, but maybe it doesn't make so much sense for their operation to be in another country that has this tax abatement. Anyway, he's going to use all the incentives he can to get people, to get jobs back here. This is what he wants. He wants jobs back here, and he wants us to have a group of people that we can rely on, that we can trust, that we can trade with, that we can support each other, that we can all benefit. You know, Biden is that a high tide raises all boats kind of guy, right? He is not about just raising our boat. He's about raising, you know, help me, we'll help each other, and we'll all rise up. Okay, so that's what's going on. Biden's New World Order. That is what he's talking about. At least in private, that's what he's talking about. But you're going to see some statesmanship, gamesmanship between China and the United States. And also the last thing I want to say about this is just Google how much land China owns, how much agricultural land China owns in the United States. It will blow your mind. They have been buying farms, buying agribusiness, big farms. It makes me nervous. Okay, I don't like that. I don't like another country. And again, that's kind of like why Brexit happened, right? But to a degree, you need to be able to control your own production of food, right? If we go into a Cold War with China and they decide to not plant on the, because they can't, they don't need the money. They can just decide to let all those fields lie fallow, and then you know, our local sources of food start drying up, right? Then the prices start going up, and then they control that part of our very, you know, important life, which is food. So this is why I think Biden, it's time for us to figure out some things. We are no longer the world superpower. I don't think China is bypassing us, and definitely as far as money and per capita goes, right? Gross national product, but I think Biden is being smart. Okay, so let's not go at it and be the superpower. Let's go at it as a group. Let's protect everybody. So that's what I wanted to say about Biden. Manchin just came in. What the hell? Why did Manchin just come in, of all people? I didn't want to talk about Manchin. Oh, wow. Manchin. Why? Well, yeah, he's stopping us from voting. He's not really a Democrat. He's on the take. He's on the make. And I just heard he's going down. That'll work. We'll take that. He's going down. How's he going down? They have the goods on him. They can prove. They have proof. What? Oh, right. Right. Okay. So here's the deal, guys. Okay. Not to beleaguer a point, but Russia owns a lot of our politicians. Okay, they just do. I mean, that's not even up for discussion anymore. They own our politicians. They get dirt on them. They send women. They send money, whatever it is. And then boom, they own them. I'm sure they own a Democrat here and there. Well, like Manchin. But the point I don't want to beleaguer is that Biden. I love the man. I think he's really, in a lot of ways, he's probably the right president for us, because I think that Bernie Sanders would have gone nuclear by now. And even though we would have yanked the Band-Aid off immediately, it wouldn't have been a gentle transition. Let's just put it that way. So, but Biden, again, he is an institutionalist, as is, all my names, they don't want me to talk about them, I guess. So anyway, as is our Attorney General. And so what that means is Biden doesn't want people to know. He doesn't want our enemies to know, right? That America is basically being attacked from the inside out, kind of Trojan horse style. He doesn't want people to know how weak we are. He doesn't want to appear weak. He doesn't want the citizens to know how weak we are. Because honestly, there's real threat here too among our own citizens. There's a real threat among our own citizens that they still are trying to pull something off. Okay, so he doesn't want that. He kind of wants these Trumper kooky people to just be lulled into a sleep, lulled into, I have a job, I'm making money, I'm going to enjoy my summer. He doesn't want to rile them up, okay? That's what he wants. So how this is relevant to Joe Manchin is that I know, and we all know probably, that Russia has things on Joe Manchin, and also the Koch brothers are paying Joe Manchin like no tomorrow. Like Joe Manchin could disappear to a weird island in the Pacific and never have to work again in his life. I mean, they have set him up. The problem is the money has to stay hidden. Hence I got to disappear to the Pacific somewhere, because no one can know that I have all this money, because where did it come from, right? So now Biden doesn't mind taking down a politician for that, for like, taking funds from the Koch brothers or taking funds from some business that is illegal. He doesn't mind that. That he's willing to prosecute that all day. It's the Russia thing he's trying to keep on the down low. Again, he's trying to keep the lid on the pot. He's pushing it down. It's boiling over. It's popping up. He's pushing it down. He's not going to keep it down. It's going to start coming through his fingers, and then it's going to blow. Okay, so that's that. But how they're going to get Manchin is that it's so stupid. It's really it's not that big. It's not like they have this information about all of this money, but then they also have information about a smaller amount of money that is more typical. It's more typical of a politician like this, right? I took money, campaign money, and I flew and I did this, and I took campaign money and I bought a house, and I took, it's that kind of thing that that Biden wants to take Manchin down with. He doesn't want to take Manchin down with necessarily with the Russia money, and not necessarily with the Koch brothers money, but he'll take him down with this other money. So what I see them doing it, honestly, I think I have said this on a video before, because I feel like I'm getting deja vu, is that Biden is going to send somebody to Joe Manchin and say, here's the thing, Joe, between you and me, here's the thing. See, we have this information about you, and to be honest with you, here's a stack of other information that we have about you. And, we're not going to prosecute you on this, but we are going to prosecute you on this. And this is probably going to get you in, a couple of years prison. That other stuff is going to get you thrown away forever because you're a traitor. You know what I mean? And we're getting ready to pass a new bill about traitors too, I just heard. So that would make it some teeth, right? Some teeth in that crime. So what they're going to say to Mr. Joe is that, here's the deal. You're going to have to go step down and spend some time with your family. you're gonna have to just step down. Don't even call. Don't He's picking up the phone right now. I feel like Joe's picking up the phone right now to call the Koch brothers, and they're like, don't even do that. Let me show you what else we have. Right? It's the same thing that the Russians do. It's exactly the same thing. You saw Lindsey Graham say terrible things about the former guy, and then the next day, literally, kiss his butt. You saw the same thing with McConnell. It's the same thing. The Russians say, we have this on you. And then they say, okay. And then they go pay those people off. And then they think, I'm free and clear. Now I can say whatever I want. And then they come back and say, oh, no, honey, we have all these other things too. And you better go back and recant. So they do. That's what Biden is doing. So as Joe Manchin goes to pick up the phone, call the Koch brothers and be like, I need some help over here. I need to make this go away. They're like, no, this can't go away. You don't understand. You don't understand. We are going to, if you don't do this, we're going to bring all of this out. And you are going to be in prison for the rest of your life. We'll make it so that you spend, decades in prison. And I swear to God, I keep hearing Guantanamo. And I think that's because these are American terrorists. These are American terrorists, and they need to be in a place. We need a whole separate facility, and not to say anything about that we waterboard anything at all. There's no violence. It's just that it's not Club Med prison. That's the point. The point is that it's not a federal prison where it looks like Club Med. It's a federal prison where it looks like cinder block walls and no AC. That's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to create, is this place where a special place for they're talking about high level, high security inmates that have participated or participated in crimes against the country. It's a certain way that it's going to be worded. I believe this is going to happen next year. This new law and this new sentencing and this new place. Because they don't want him to be in Club Med. So anyway, so back to Joe Manchin. So they talk about Joe Manchin. They talk to him. And he still tries to go to the Koch brothers, because that's our other problem, is people have so much money. It's more money than, money can buy anything, right? But it can't, I'm telling you, you can't buy Biden. You can't buy Biden. And you can't Garland. You can't buy Garland. They might not be moving fast. They might not be moving fast. And they might be institutionalist, which means that they're going to follow the letter of the law. That's why Garland picked up on the E.G. Carroll case and said, we have to protect the president because he's a president. And by the institution, we have to do that. What they don't understand is the former guy blew the institution to smithereens. There is no institution anymore. We don't have an institution. So anyway, that part irritates me about Biden and Garland. So let's just cut to the chase here. So is Manchin going to have to step down? Oh, he tries to capitulate. He tries to make a deal. He is not the smartest person. I'm telling y'all, when I go into his energy, that man is not the smartest person. I mean, it's like, okay, so you want to incriminate yourself more rather than step down? You want to do a plea bargain, a plea deal? Okay. You want to work for us? Okay. Huh. Is he going to work for them? No. I don't think so. He's not going to work for them. He's going to offer the deal, and then he's not going to do it because he's not smart and he's stubborn. He's stubborn, and he thinks he's right. He's egotistical. He thinks he's right. So if I think I'm right, I'm never going to agree to anybody else's version of that because I know I'm right. this is the thing, right? This is the thing. Okay, I'm going to end this soon. This is the thing. This is the deal. You can basically count on this happening over and over and over again. What I'm about to tell you. Because I told you, Biden is trying to keep the lid on the pot. He's trying to push the pot down, right? He's trying to keep the lid on the pot. And it starts coming out through his fingers. Remember, I just told you that? Like the goo is coming out through his fingers, which means it's becoming public, and then the pot blows up, right? That's what I just said. So what happens to Manchin is, as this delicate dance is going on between Garland and the feds, the FBI, and Manchin, an investigative reporter gets a hold of this information and leaks it. And that's what you're going to see over and over again. That's the goo coming out between Biden's hands when he's holding the boiling pot lid on it. Is this stuff starts getting leaked. Biden can't control it because it's leaked. And then these things start becoming a public issue instead of a private issue. Again, Biden is trying to do all this stuff without the public knowing, because he wants people to go on vacation and spend money and have a good economy. That's what he wants. He wants things back to normal. He wants to keep everything under control, out of sight, under your eyes, but fix it. But he's not going to be able to, because it takes too long, and the longer it takes, the more it leaks out, and then it becomes public. And so then and then the problem is, guys, is it becomes the court of public opinion gets involved, right? So then you have all the former guy people saying, oh, he didn't do anything. And, then it becomes messy. It's harder to litigate because there's a court of public opinion about it. And then all the politicians are now saying, oh, it's a hot potato. Oh, it's a hot potato. I don't want to speak about that, or I don't want to weigh in on that because I don't want to get people mad at me. See, so that's what's happening with that. In the end, I see Manchin disgraced. I see him disgraced. And I mean the end, it seems like next year, it seems like something's going to start happening around November, December, and then next year, I see him disgraced. Yeah. I don't know. He must step down. I mean, this is what I'm saying, guys. The man is so dull. His brain cells are just not connecting to anything. They're just sending out signal and nothing is returning because he's get a deal. Take the deal. Take the deal. Step down. It's like on The Price is Right. Take that deal or whatever. Take the deal. Because if you don't, it's going to get really ugly for you. But that's what's going to happen. So that's great, because if that happens this spring, that could set us up for better results in the midterms, right? That could really help us. So I don't want to take up any more of your time. That's what I have to say for you. I hope you found this interesting, informative, and entertaining. I just want to say this is for entertainment purposes only, because we want YouTube to be happy with us, don't we? And after we all learned that the former guy was investigating everybody, using our own Justice Department as his own personal Gestapo to investigate journalists and senators and representatives, and even the kids of the senators and representatives. That's where we were, y'all. We were in a police state. We didn't even know it. So that's also why we all have to be a little careful even today, because those former guy people are still in the government. They didn't go anywhere. They're still in very key positions, unfortunately. So, blessings to you guys all. I really, really appreciate you joining me. Please consider subscribing, trying to grow my channel. Subscribing helps in so many ways. If you hit the bell notification button, you will actually be notified when I'm live or when I have a new video. You wouldn't want to miss one of these, would you? So, you guys all take care, and blessings to all of you. For entertainment purposes only.